I'm wearing my boyfriend's jacket. What's going on, my little bundle of chestnuts? It's your girl, Kay Winchester here. And I'm wearing my boyfriend's jacket because you guys asked for this story time. So I'm going to go ahead and tell it. And as you can tell by the title of this video, I need to feel safe. So I'm wearing my boyfriend's jacket because I feel safe and because it's cold in my room. So I'm gonna try to not make this before I get into my experiences here. I want to let you know that some of these experiences have been happening all of my life, or like most of my life. I actually do think it's been all of my life because I've been looking at baby pictures and watching videos of me as a baby really closely, and I've been seeing a lot of orbs. And if you pay attention in the video, like where the orb is, like I'll turn my head towards it, and like, yeah, like these videos have been when I was as young as like a couple days old or like a couple weeks old, all the way up until I'm like 4. And every time there's like, and almost like in every other clip, there's an orb of some sort. And like the orb will like float by, and I'll go from smiling at my mom and I'll just turn my head and look in the direction that the orb floated away. And then I'll look back at the camera or back at my mom and just like, and like go back to being my happy kid self. It's really creepy. And there's pictures too where like, there's like a bright light or whatever. And these cameras, this is a 2000s camera. This is a 2000s, you know, it wasn't at the time where people can take pictures on their phone and then print out the images. It was an actual, like, not necessarily Polaroid, but like, I get it. It was a camera, but there will be like a different, like there will literally be like an orb like by my head or like by my shoulder or something, you know? So it's really scary. It's really creepy. And even when I'm like 7 or 8 or 9 or something like that, there will always be some form of distortion in the picture. And I'm always either looking at it or I'm like looking off to the side with my eyes. Maybe I'll show you some pictures like that. I don't know. Let me know if you guys want some pictures where I show you. Let me know if you guys want a video where I show you the pictures that I've seen, that I see anything paranormal, or like where it looks like I'm looking at something paranormal. And I don't remember when these pictures were taken, so I don't know what I'm seeing. I don't know what I'm looking at, you know? And yeah, it could have been a family member off to the side that I'm looking at or whatever. But it's still kind of creepy to think that, you know, here I am like 19 years old and, you know, I've been seeing paranormal experiences. I've been having paranormal experiences since I was 9, all the way up to like, you know, and I feel like it's been like every 4 years, if I really think about it. Like my first paranormal experiences started happening when I was 9. I moved out of that crazy apartment when I was 13, and then I moved to another house. 13, 14, didn't see anything. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, started seeing stuff again. And even when I have like paranormal experiences, when it's kind of like dormant, you know, I'm happy. And then, so I feel like it'll be dormant for a couple of years or for a couple months, and then I'll start experiencing things all over again. So my school that I go to, there's a lot of history there. It used to be a World War II base. I'm in the CNA class, and so I go to the trade section, and in the trade section there's a big building, and I go upstairs. Upstairs, there's a lot of paranormal stuff that will happen when we're in class too, so I will get into that too. But I did some research, and by research I mean I talked to the instructors, I've talked to students, I've talked to people I've talked to instructors that have been there since it was a bigger campus. And they all tell me the same thing, and they all say that it actually used to be it used to be the barracks. So people, like, while we go upstairs and go to class, a couple 100 years ago, people were up there hiding and like firing bullets. And one of the students actually found a bullet, and they got concerned, so they took it to security. They analyzed it, and it wasn't recent. So it wasn't recent. Nobody brought a gun to campus. So that's pretty cool and crazy to think that she found an artifact Like, that's, wow. So there was a lot of, there's a lot of history here. And some people say that when they have experiences that they hear screams and they hear like moans and cries, and it's very creepy. And I honestly don't want to deter you from going to campus. It's really fun. We have a lot of fun. There's a place called a SAC Center where you can go for like after trade hours. That's what we call school, like learning trade. There's where they have video games, they have a computer section, they have board games. You can even order food and bring it to the SAC Center. It's really cool. It's really fun. A lot of my memories with my boyfriend have to do with the SAC Center, and it's a lot of fun. And that's not all you can do, you know. There's also a gym where there's a workout area, there's a big ass baseball court. There's even a tennis court, like off, like if you go like farther away from the gym, like if you go further into the gym, you'll see a tennis court. That's really cool. That's really fun. There's also a pool, you know, in the gym. There's and then like not in the gym itself, but like in a room away from the gym, like next to the locker room, there's a pool room, like so like you could play pool, and it's really fun. It's a lot of fun. But there, as I said, there's a lot of history here, and when you get a place with a lot of history that has to do with a lot of sadness and depression, especially when you have a place of history with a lot of death in it, like unfortunately World War II was, you can get a lot of bad energy from that, especially when you have a couple dumbasses in this story. Okay, so there's a reason why they say not to bring in a Ouija board to this school, and it's because a couple dumbasses like these people. So as I said, it used to be a much bigger campus. There's A through E dorms, but there used to be A through Z. Now the reason why there's not F through Z anymore is because people liked to use those dorms for cult purposes. So there was these kids, and it's an urban legend. It's a local urban legend on campus. Turns out to be true. So like a lot of people have their beliefs on it, like as with most legends, you know, people are like, oh no, La Llorona isn't real, and then they're like, yes she is, I've seen her with my own 2 eyes, kind of thing, you know. Everybody has their own beliefs on it. I personally don't doubt it, because I honestly don't not believe. I believe in this legend, because like how the hell else would it be so active? But there were some kids that had a Ouija board, and they used to go into a very old building that was gonna get torn down anyway. And they decided to go into that building to go and do their occult. They got a bunch of innocent animals, like cats, dogs, sheep, goat. Like they had a lot of these innocent farm animals, and ow, why does that hurt? It's like one area of my earring. Like this area doesn't hurt as much, but this area does. I don't know. Anyway, it's like one specific side that hurts. Anyways, so they got a bunch of farm animals and they took them into this building that was gonna get torn down anyway. And they, you know, they slit their hands like they would do in a movie. You know, they did that. They bled into like this bowl, and they started doing their demon thing. They were trying to summon the devil and ask him some questions. Like they were stupid, and they were in an occult. They were in a cult, and they were sacrificing these innocent animals, and they basically called upon Satan himself. And they smeared blood all over the walls, they smeared blood on their shirts, they smeared blood on their faces. They took a bite out of some of these animal carcasses, and they literally, there was a lot going on, and it was so crazy. When they walked in the next day and they saw blood everywhere, they saw dead animals, they saw these people sleeping in like this pentagram that they drew with their blood. And so they woke these students up, asked them what the hell happened, and They told them in the most soulless voice ever, "We summoned the devil." And they basically kicked out those students. They terminated them from center. They got termed, and they cleaned up. I can't imagine having to clean up all of those poor animals and like those poor babies that were just trying to do their own thing, you know. And I have a very active imagination, so like that could be why my family doesn't believe me. But I can swear that everything I have experienced is entirely true. Whether I'm imagining it or not, it is terrifying. And I really don't think I'm imagining it. I really don't, because a lot of my friends can vouch, and a lot of, you know, there's a lot of witnesses to what I've experienced. So I really don't think that they'd be the type to fuck with me on this kind of thing. I think they'd be like, "Amberlee, you're fucking nuts. That didn't happen. You're going crazy." But they're not saying that. They're going, "Oh my God, I didn't want to tell you because I didn't want to freak you out." So for these people to be like, you know, "Oh no, you're imagining it," or like, "Oh no, you're off your meds again," kind of thing. Like, somebody actually said that to me. That was fucked up. So anyway, I have a very active imagination. The reason why I don't want to tell certain stories is because I can picture the story in my head as it's happening, and like, it's really scary to think of like these poor animals, and like I'm an animal person. I love animals. So to think of these poor animals, now I can't say it. I was doing so good. So anyway, they tore down that building. But the reason why they shut down certain dorms was because all of the activity that was happening in that building started happening in the dorms. Because the building was like right behind F and G dorm. So I guess it kind of like spread and traveled. So they had to tear down all those dorms because what was happening was so bad that it just kind of kept happening. Like, they demolish one dorm and then it would move on to the other one. So they just decided to just go ahead and demolish all F through Z dorms. They're thinking about rebuilding them. At least that's what I've heard. And I'm like, "Oh God, for the love of God, no." I'm like, I hate my dorm, I really do, but please, no, do not put me in F dorm or anything like that. Like, please. Don't put me in fuck dorm. So, yeah. I'm like, what? Like, after I heard this story, like, everything made a lot of sense. And another reason why they had to ban Ouija boards is not just because of this, but it's also because there was a lot of students that were trying to do seances. There are these things called gazebos that are on campus, and my boyfriend and I go in there all the time to like cuddle, and you know, we just go in there to cuddle. But some of these girls thought it would be genius to go in there and do a fucking seance. Literally, candles and all, holding hands and going, "Are you here with us?" Literally. And they were just like, and then obviously, we can't have that when we had to demolish, like 20 freaking dorms because of all of this freaking paranormal shit. Like, why would you do that? People are stupid. So, a lot of people have been having a lot of experiences. And A dorm actually used to be a morgue because it was an Air Force base. And then it was a World War II hospital. It was both of those things. I can't remember what sequence. I don't remember what order. But A dorm used to be a morgue. Now, I'm the type of person that, like, no matter how crazy something sounds, I will always keep an open mind. Because I don't know what you see. I don't know what you hear. Whether you're lying to me or not, I can't prove that because I'm not in your shoes. I'm not you. I don't know how scary it is for you. I don't know what you see. I mean, like, you can explain it to me, but I will never truly see what you see. And I can't imagine being that terrified and then like, you know, it's like, I know what it's like to be so terrified of something and so scared of something that even though you're scared to tell what you see and you go over there and you work up the courage to go tell somebody what you see and they just think that you're crazy. I know what that's like. I'm never going to tell you that I don't believe you. I'm never going to tell you that I think you're crazy. Even if I do, I'm not going to say that because I know what that's like to just feel like so helpless and you ask for help and people just think that you're nuts. So even if I don't necessarily believe that a dorm used to be a morgue, I'm going to keep that in mind because that could be true, you know? And it's like, you know, at first I didn't believe that a dorm used to be a morgue, but now I'm like, you know what? It could have been. Like, who am I to say that it wasn't when obviously there's a lot of stuff going down. There's a lot of things that are happening, you know, and I also want to warn you that this video is also going to have a sensitive topic like suicide and all that other stuff. But there's history in every single dorm. Like Alpha used to be a morgue, like I said. Beta used to be something. I can't remember what it was. And Charlie, C dorm, Charlie, my boyfriend lives in Charlie too, so he can vouch for this. But there's a legend going around based on C dorm that there was a guy in C3 who took his life, and he was, you know, a very happy-go-lucky person, and they just found him in his closet one day, and he committed suicide in his dorm. And ever since that day, you know, and people it took a couple of days to find him because he said that he was going on weekend pass. And, you know, he signed up for it and everything. So people thought that he left and that he went on weekend pass. He didn't show up to class on Monday, and they went into his room to wake him up because they thought he was still sleeping, and he wasn't in there. And they thought, okay, maybe he stayed on there for like a 3-day weekend. And it's very hard for me to talk about this because I know what it feels like to be in that mindset of, like, you know, and I can't imagine what it was like for this guy's family, you know. So long story short, his roommate went and got suspicious, and they opened his closet and they found him hanging there. And it took a couple days to find him there too. Even after Monday, it was like, you know, they were like, okay, maybe he self-termed, and they just went on that. But there were no papers saying that he did self-term, and it's a process. You can't just be like, okay, I'm done, bye. You can't do that. Like, you have to, there's a lot of paperwork involved. There's a lot of contacting your family involved, like, where are you gonna go, kind of thing. And since he didn't have any documents and it wasn't in the works to let him go, they opened up his closet to see what they could find, and they found him. And ever since he was found, C3 and C4 have been closed down because people have dared each other to go in one of the rooms and spend the night. Somebody has, you know, people have been dared to go in there and spend the night. People have been dared to even go in that poor guy's room and spend the night. And every time, they never return. They have either taken their own life or they just disappear. So for the safety of people in C dorm, they close down C3 and C4. The doors to go up there are locked. The stairs are blocked off. You cannot go up there. So I just want to say to rest in peace to that guy, and I'm very sorry for your loss to that guy's family. To that guy's family, I'm so sorry for your loss, and I hope that you guys have a great day. So basically, these girls were having a seance to like conjure him up, and they ended up conjuring up somebody else or something else. Or that's how the story goes with the seance thing. I don't know if the story in Charlie is true, but if it is, I'm so sorry. And if it's not, then like, why would you say something like that? I don't know. So the legend goes that these girls were trying to conjure his spirit up and basically say that they still love him and all this and that. And they ended up summoning something else, and they ended up summoning something evil. And ever since then, our campus has been haunted. Every campus has a story to tell. Like campus. I mean, every dorm has its own story to tell. My dorm, for example, E-dorm, is extremely haunted too. Like, we've been hearing, me and so many other girls have been hearing a man say, "Help me." And a lot of girls too have, including me, have reported that they hear voices, or like they think that they're not alone and they actually are. And it's terrifying. Like, the strangest thing happened to me one day. So the thing that makes it so scary, before I get into this story, is I'm going to tell like a little side story. You know how I had this old man follow me around for like 4 years off and on? Well, he's back, and when I see him in sleep paralysis, he's not a short, cute little old man. He is a 7-foot figure. And I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but every time I dream about the old man, he's there. That the 7-foot figure is there. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you can comment, let me know what you guys think in the comments. But my door is that tall. This figure goes up to that corner. And whenever I see him, and I have seen him while I'm home, he is so tall and his legs are so long that all he has to do is take 3 steps and he's by my bed. And every time he's by my bed, he tries to grab my foot. He grabs my feet and tries to pull me off the bed. And every time he sees me, he has to like mention that I'm never gonna amount to anything, and that, you know, no matter how many times I read my Bible, no matter how many times I pray, no matter how many times I go to church, he's always gonna be there, and I'm gonna go to hell with him. And then he grabs my ankles and tries to pull me off the bed. Every time, no matter how many times I have this dream, no matter how many times I have this nightmare, no matter how many times I have this sleep paralysis thing where I see this dude, I wake up screaming. No matter how long I've had it, it gets scarier and scarier each time, especially when I go to take a shower and there are bruises around my ankles. I'm sorry. But he will literally grab my ankles so hard that it hurts, and when you're in sleep paralysis, you can't scream for help. When you're in sleep paralysis, you can't scream for help, you can't cry, you just have to sit there and wait for it to pass. So I will literally feel him grab my ankles, and there are times where I wake up and I'm like on the end of the bed. And I will always have bruises around my ankles when he grabs me. Sometimes they're purple, sometimes they're brown, it depends on how hard he grabs me. But he always grabs me pretty hard, but there are some times where he grabs me so hard that it immediately takes me out of sleep paralysis because my body felt pain. And it's always very terrifying, and it's very frightening. And I don't know what to do because I've been reading my Bible. I do Bible study almost every day. I say almost because there are some times where I forget, but I try to do Bible study every day. And I pray every day. I have a prayer journal. I read my Bible study verses when I'm not able to study my Bible. And I still have this, and he's still here, and like, so I either see that guy or I see an old lady. And she's skinny and small, like she has the body of an average 20-year-old, but she's got a wrinkly face. And whenever she smiles like this, her lips go like all the way up to like her freaking ears. Like the corners of her mouth go to her ears. And I mean, it looks funny when I do it, but it's terrifying when I actually see it. And So like I was in my room sleeping, right? I was in my dorm and I was in my room going to sleep. It was like 11:30 and it was time for bed. So I wake up at like 3 a.m. and I can't breathe. And I wake up and this lady, and this isn't the first time I've seen her. I've seen her when my ex and I broke up, and you know, when I was living here. First time I saw her, I was a junior in high school, but I haven't seen her ever since until this night. So you can imagine my shock and horror when I saw her sitting on her knees, and her knees were in my chest. Like literally she was sitting like right here, not on my boobs, but like just above my boobs. And she was sitting there and I could not breathe. And I just remember trying to gasp out the words, "You're hurting me." And she wrapped her hands around my throat and was like squeezing them, and she's screaming at me. And her spit is like pouring into my face, like she's spraying me with her words. And she's just like, "You will never amount to anything. You will never be happy. Stop trying to be happy. Your friends are gonna leave you. You will stop pretending like you are ever gonna be anything but a big disappointment to your family. You know your father hates you. You know he wanted a boy. He's always wanted a boy. Why do you think he doesn't interact with you? No one likes you." She's literally screaming all of these things at me. And all of these horrible yet true things that I've always felt or questioned in my life. Like, I've always questioned, does my dad really love me? I've always questioned, am I really a disappointment to my family? Because of, you know, like I always caused issues for them. And I'm like, I wonder if my family actually does love me, or if they just have to because I'm their daughter, you know? I've actually questioned that. So for her to grab me like that and start screaming at me those things, it's really hurtful. And like, you know, there's always a saying that says like, you are your worst enemy. Like, you are your own worst enemy. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. But like, you know, like there is a saying that's like, you know, even when you don't really think that you think those things, but you do, it will always come and bite you in the ass later. Yeah, like I think that lady has always been like a part of me, you know, and whenever it gets really bad, she does those things. And I just remember like trying to say to her, like, no, that's not true. Like, please just leave me alone. Let me go back to sleep. And I finally was able to like gasp out the words, "That's not true." And she screamed, like literally just like shrieked. And she grabbed her long nails and went like that and just scratched across my face and got up off of me and just bolted out of my room as if something scared her. And I sat up, I was like, and I sat up and gasped for breath like I normally do when I come out of sleep paralysis. And I'm crying and I'm looking around trying to figure out what's real and what isn't real. And I'm trying to tell myself in my head, like, this is real, that wasn't real. This is real right here. You're in your bed. You're safe. You're home. Like, you're safe. You're in your bed. You're in your room. Your roommates are sleeping. See, one of your roommates is snoring. Like, you're here. Like, this is real. This is real. That wasn't real. That wasn't real. You're good. And I kept repeating that in my head. And even out loud a little bit too. And I went and slept and I just went back to sleep. But when I went back to sleep, I dreamed that I got off of my bed and started to chase her, and when I opened my door, I didn't see her, but I felt like I got punched in the stomach, and I awoke, like I'm all animated or whatever, but literally I woke up gasping for breath because I felt like I got punched in the stomach. And the entire day, the next day, I felt like I got punched in the stomach the night before. I was literally walking to the cafeteria for breakfast like this. Nate asked me if I was feeling okay. He asked me if I was sick, and I said no. He asked me if I was on my period and having cramps, and I said no. And then he asked me what happened, and I told him, I was like, you remember my sleep paralysis? Yeah, the old bitch punched me in the stomach. So he gave me a hug and told me that everything was okay, and that it wasn't real, and that it was all in my head. You know, it's not really helpful when somebody says that it's all in your head, because it doesn't feel like it is. You know, and it's like, but I understand that it is, you know. It's like when you have a nightmare or whatever, it is all in your head. And like when you're paranoid after a nightmare, it is all in your head. but it doesn't feel like it is. So it's kind of irritating when somebody says, it's all in your head, it's all in your head. Like, yes, I know that, but that's not what I need to hear right now. You know what I mean? So, but he did give me a hug. He was low-key helpful, but at the same time, I was just like, dude, stop saying it's in my head. Like, but, so now I will get to the story of why me thinking it was my roommate was terrifying. So I'm in the shower, right? I went in there to check in, and when you go in to check in to your door, you go in there and you tell your RA your room number, you tell your RA what your name is and your room number, and they have to mark you here. And then you have to go in there and, go to your room and get whatever it is that you need. I wear scrubs for my trade because I'm going to be a CNA. So I have to go out in my room. I have to get out of my scrubs. I normally take a shower because my skin reacts to the scrubs in like a way that I have to wear clothes underneath my scrubs. So, I have to take my clothes off. I have to put my scrubs in the closet in the hamper immediately. And then I have to go take a shower and then wear what was under my scrubs. So I normally do that every time. This is important, I promise. This lets you into your room. You cannot get in your room without this. It's kind of like a hotel. Like you stick it on there for a second and it goes ting and lets you in. So when I got in there, my roommate was already in there. And we're gonna call her Lily, because she's really sweet, and like Lily is like a sweet person's name. So I went in there and I saw Lily in there, and I was like, "Hi Lily, what's up?" And she's like, "Oh, not much." And we were just talking, and curfew's at 9:15. So she was like, "I'll just be back at 9 o'clock, and I was just like, "Okay, cool." Mind you, we have 3 roommates. Well, we did have 3, but one of them left, so now we just have 1 roommate. But, so, I mean, we did have 2 roommates, and then one of them left, so now it's just the 3 of us. But anyway, the one of them, when we had her as our roommate, she was working. And so she works like a 9 to 5 shift, pretty much. So she was at work. And our other roommate was doing PTO, so she wasn't here. And this is important for the story, I promise. So I get in the shower. I'm taking a shower, and I'm naked, I'm happy, I'm free, I'm singing Panic at the Disco at the top of my lungs because that's what was playing on my phone. And I don't hear the ding, but suddenly I hear Lily's voice, or who I think is Lily. And I think I hear Lily's voice, and she's like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I forgot something." And I'm like, "No, it's cool, like, I'll see you later." And she said, "Yeah, bye." And the scary part is it wasn't really Lily's voice. Like, I thought it was at the time, but her voice was like hers with like a deeper undertone. It's hard to explain. So like, this is my normal voice. She sounded like this. She sounded like this, as if somebody was pretending to be her. But like, it actually sounded like her though, I just thought that like, since I was taking a shower, that like I just didn't hear her right, or like, I thought it wasn't her voice. I was just trying to like deny it, basically. And I did kind of have like this feeling in my stomach that something wasn't right, but I just ignored it. And I got chills just thinking about it. It's terrifying. But I get out of the shower because she leaves, she just all of a sudden stops talking to me. So I think, okay, maybe she left, So I get out of the shower, I get dressed, and I'm about to leave, and I open the door, and Lily's standing outside, like she was like this with her key, like about to let herself in. And I was like, "Oh, you're back? I thought you already got what you needed." And she said, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "Didn't you come in here a minute ago and start talking to me?" And she's like, "No, I came back because I forgot my hairbrush," or whatever it is that she forgot. And I was like, but you just came in here and got it. And she's like, no, I didn't. And we started arguing back and forth. I was like, Lily, stop fucking with me. This isn't funny. And I'm like yelling at her. And she's like, I'm not fucking with you. I literally, and she's getting mad because like I'm accusing her of something, you know? But I'm scared, you know? Like I feel bad about it to this day. But I was scared, you know? Like I didn't want to admit that, you know? I was like, you literally just came in here. Stop lying to me. Stop pretending like it wasn't you. And she's like, I swear to God, Amberlee, it wasn't me. I didn't come in here. And now I'm freaking out. Like I'm on the brink of tears. I'm like, yes, you did. And she's like, no, I didn't. I'm like, yes, you did. And she's like, no, I didn't. Literally, we're going back and forth. And I'm like, if you did it, then who did? And she said, I don't know, but I swear to God, I wasn't in here. And I'm like, oh. And she's like, why do you think I came in here? And I told her, I was like, I heard you. You came in here, like the door was halfway open, I think, and you just kind of let yourself in and we started talking. You said you were going to hang out with your boyfriend. You came in here for your hairbrush. And she grabs me by the shoulders and she said, Amberlee, I was never in here. I was in here when you came in and I saw you and I said bye to you and I started leaving, but I just remembered that I forgot my hairbrush. And I was like, but you did that like 3 minutes ago. I'm like, but you did that like 3 minutes ago. She goes, no, I swear I didn't. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So I told her what happened, like what I experienced, and she goes whiter than a sheet. And she said, Amberlee, I swear to God, I wasn't in here. And I was like, why do you look so scared? And she said, because I wasn't in here. She's like, I swear I was never in here. And I'm like, but you act like this has happened to you before. And she's like, it has, but I ignored it. That's why I'm being so adamant that it wasn't me. Are you okay? Because I started going, I guess I made some sort of face because she was like, that's why I'm being so adamant that it wasn't me. And then she just goes from this to like, are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. And she's like, are you sure? And I'm like, I'm fine. Let me just get my hair, let me just like get my backpack. And she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, I was gonna study, but never mind. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, I don't want to be in here another minute. Like, I need to get out. I'm sorry I yelled at you. And I know, and like I said, my other roommate was at PTO and our other one was working. So there's no way that they could have came in here and like started messing with me. And she wouldn't mess with me either because she's too quiet of a person. And like I asked her repeatedly, I was like, were you messing with me? Were you messing with me? Because that's not funny if you were. Were you messing with me? No, Amberlee, no, I wasn't. Every time. And she would get mad even because I would keep asking her. And like I feel bad for being annoying, but like I feel bad for being annoying about that, but it's like, why would you, like, ugh. I just wanted to be sure that I wasn't going insane. So I come out of the dorm, I'm scared, like I've almost peed my pants at this point because I just talked to a ghost, you know? And my boyfriend's waiting for me outside my dorm and I see him and I'm like, and he's like freaking out, like he's like, okay, hey, breathe, what's wrong? Like tell me what happened. And I'm like, I can't. He's like, okay, breathe. Like he's trying to comfort me, but at the same time, like he doesn't know what the fuck is going on. So he's starting to get irritated because he's asking me what's wrong and I can't answer him because I'm like freaking out. Like I'm hyperventilating. I'm in full panic attack mode, literally having a panic attack right in front of him. And he's just, I told you to breathe. I told you to breathe. Wow. What a great concept. I would love to be able to do that. Like if I could, like, man, I wish I would have thought about that. He tries his best, he really does. But he finally got me to calm down because our mutual best friend was with him at the time and he's like, dude, you're not helping her. Like when you yell at her, you just make it worse. So he finally like sat me down on the rock and he's like grabbing my face and he's like, I'm right here, everything's fine. He's so nice. He's so sweet. I love him. Oh my God. But he's like, everything's cool. I'm right here. Just breathe. Look at me. I'm right here. And oh my God. Sometimes that's all I need to hear when I'm having an anxiety attack and like I'm starting to not know what's real and what's not. The words I'm right here are really soothing to me just because it's like helping with like grounding, and it helps me look at you and just be like, okay, yeah, like you are here. It's hard to explain, but if you have anxiety, you understand. So, so I told him what happened, and he gave me a hug, and he's like, how do you know that she wasn't messing with you? And I was like, she wouldn't do that to me. And he just listened to what I had to say, and he just gave me a hug, and he said, it's okay. We're gonna go to the SAC center, we're gonna go eat dinner, and, you know, and we're just gonna get your mind off of it, okay? And I was like, okay. He ended up having to put me in little space because I was not okay. And the other scary thing too is that night I saw the 7-foot shadow figure, and every time I talk about what happened that night, I get anxiety. So I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to have an anxiety attack. But what happened with this dude left me in a state that I've never been in, and I never want to be in ever again. My phone is usually used as a distraction when I'm scared. But I didn't even want to touch it. I was that scared. I was so scared, I didn't want to move. All I did until 3 a.m. was stare at the ceiling because I was scared that if I looked anywhere else, I was going to see something. I was scared that if I looked up from my phone, if I used it as a distraction, I would see something. And yes, I take medication. No, I am not crazy. No, I do not have schizophrenia. All I have is depression and anxiety. But I've seen all of these things my entire life, and these things have been here my entire life, and I have pictures and videos to prove it. So, yeah. My friends have things in their dorms too, and one of my friends that actually graduated, congratulations to her, she had a little girl in her room, and she told me that every time she would try to go to sleep, she'd feel a presence, and she'd open her eyes, and there would be a little girl, and the little girl would ask, do you want to play? And, you know, I asked her, I was like, do you feel anything evil coming from her? And she said no. And I said, well, then she probably just wants to play with you. And she said, well, I mean, yeah, she's made that very clear, that all she wants to do is play. And I was like, well, what happens when you say no? Or like, what happens when you don't play with her? And she said, if we don't play with her, which, you know, they don't because they're freaked out, you know, but like she will just kind of make her own little game. Like she messes with the lights, and she messes with the locker doors, she messes with the closet doors, she messes with the room, you know, she basically makes it her own game. Little kids just want to play all the time. Why would a ghost little kid be different, you know? So little kids are tiny adults that just want to have fun 24/7. That's another reason why I love kids. It's just because, like, they don't have a care in the world. They're just like, I want to play. Oh, there's a fire going on down the street. I want to play, kind of thing, you know? And babies are just drunk adults, you know? So, like, literally, everybody has, like, that fun, happy-go-lucky personality, but it just kind of gets slimmer and slimmer as we get older. So little kids are just balls of energy that just want to have fun all the time. Everybody could be a playmate kind of thing. And, you know, everybody could be like their best friend. And that's what I love about little kids. So I'm like, why would a ghost child be any different? So if you want a part 2, let me know.